Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video we will discuss the primacy of speech, priority of speech, importance of speech you can say, and we will discuss that spoken language is superior to written language. Mostly we believe that while speaking a language we do not care much about the accurate use of the words or the accuracy of grammar, and it is written form that is a standard form of any language. But here we will discuss that how speech or spoken language is prior or having a priority over written language. Let's start discussing with the fact that there are many languages in the world that are available only in the spoken form. The written literature is not available. Many of the languages spoken in the world, they do not have any written literature, but we believe that in most of the books we study, we discuss, and it is also certified by many linguists that the standard language is written language. Then what about the languages, thousands of languages that do not have any written literature, but they are languages, they have their grammar, they have their vocabulary, they have their sentence structure. Although it is not written, people they are speaking it, they are communicating with each other. Now the question arises that what would be the example of such language which is not available in written form? There are many, but for the sake of example, you must have watched different videos of tribes living in forests, like those who were still the humans living in the forests. They kill the animals and eat them, and then they use these they do not have even clothes to wear. They use the leaves of the trees. So in National Geographic Special and other channels you can watch many such videos available there. So those language, the spoken language, is a tribe that is living in a forest. What kind of language they are? They do not have any source of learning. They have no connection with the this modern developed world. They are living in the same stone age thousands of years ago as humans they used to live. So they do not have any literature of their language or in any written form, but still for thousands of years they are speaking, and they have their language in the spoken form. So it is not necessarily true that every language must be in a written form and then it will be standardized. It is the spoken form that actually gives birth to the written form. Even if the written form is not available, the language will be there until the last speaker is alive in the world. But written form, what happens in the written form? When the language it is written, it is preserved forever. And when it is not written, it is only in spoken form. When the speakers of that particular language die, it means the end of the language. The language also dies with the last speaker. uh, Writing is a new phenomenon. Definitely writing is a new phenomenon. First the humans they started speaking languages. After that, when humans they understood that how to write, this writing capability adopted by the humans thousands of years ago, then written form came and the language it used to be written in various forms. Otherwise all the languages they were available only on in spoken form. So in simple words you can say, originally, or in the beginning, not originally but in the beginning, uh, languages they were only spoken. So with the passage of time, for example, let's talk about 10,000 years ago. For example, we say that at 10,000 years ago, there was no language in written form. But different communities living in the world, they were speaking different languages. So after 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, the humans, they got the capacity or get an understanding that the language, they should be written. Then they started writing the language spoken by the speakers. So, where the rules of that written language came, where the sentence structure, the grammatical rules came, they came from the spoken language. They were not developed, or they were not actually manufactured by the human beings by their own. They were actually taken by the spoken form. So originally, in the beginning, in the when the language started, the humans, they started using language, it was in the spoken form. uh, it is believed that about 20,000 years ago, the humans, they started communicating with each other through sign language, through sounds, through words. So 20,000 years ago, the humans, they started speaking language. It is only believed. There is nothing like any we do not read it in any book that 20,000 years ago a book was written and that is available to us. So it is believed. uh, and writing, as I already told you, it is dependent on the spoken form. Writing came after many years, this communication of 20,000 years ago. Again, the rules in written language are derived from spoken. Although we believe that while speaking a language, we do not care about the sentence structure, grammatical structure, the use of the appropriate words as we use in written form. Why in written form the language is more purified or more standardized or having more grammatical accurate rules or accurate wording? Because in written form, if I am writing something, I have a choice to revisit or to revise my writing. If I have written one page, I can revise it 100 times and I can amend it, I can change it. I can apply different rules into it. But when once we are speaking, whatever is spoken, that is gone. We do not have time to rectify the structure of the sentence and everything. So the written form language, the rules of the written form, they actually come from the spoken. So this is the spoken language, that the rules, they are derived from the spoken language that we study in written form. Whatever the issues or the problems, they come in the written form, they are resolved in the spoken form. For example, if there is any grammatical structure, an Urdu grammatical structure which is written incorrect, or a word which is used incorrectly by the author in any novel or drama or poetry of Urdu poetry, so how will it be rectified? Who will tell us that what is the accurate word or what is the accurate sentence? That is, again, the writer will have to go back to the speakers of that language, those whose mother tongue is Urdu language. Then they will get that what type of the correct structure the people, the speaking community is speaking, that the rule will be applied for the words and for the sentences. So in any written form, nothing can be devised, but the writers, and the authors, they have to, everyone will have to consult to the spoken form for any accuracy, if it is required. Then written usage is usually the norm of a previous stage of the language, that we discussed earlier, that writing is a uh, not the primary or the primacy of the language, because primacy is speech. So language, written form is the second form. First form of a language is spoken form. Then in 20th century, it was, as I discussed earlier, that we believe that written language is the standard form. And before that, it was believed that it is written language that is important. But in 20th century, the linguists, they preferred spoken over writing. They believe that after, I mean, in 20th century, different historians, different linguists, those who had discussed in their works about the origin of language and how the language is preserved, how the language is written, and how the language is spoken. So it was believed in 20th century that spoken is prior or important or having superiority over writing. But before that, it was believed that written form is the standard form. But now it is believed by many that spoken is superior to written form. Then more importantly, when a child acquires a language from the home, the most authentic point about the primacy or superiority of spoken language is that when the child starts acquiring a language in the home, the child acquires language in spoken form, not in written form. The parents, I mean, to a newly born baby, the parents, they do not give them every day a sentence that you have to use to a small baby of 2 years, that a mother is teaching to a 2 years baby that this is the subject, this is the object, and the verb, and the sentence structure, and passive wise and active wise. Nothing has been written and nothing has been taught. It is in the spoken form that the child acquires the language. So from the beginning, from the childhood, the language that comes to us, that is in the spoken form. So we can say, you can also, so this video covers two questions. One is the primacy of the speech, and second is speech versus writing, that which form of language is superior to the other. Written language has its own features, but when we say spoken is superior to written language, it doesn't mean that written language is inferior. It means that we are discussing that how the rules of a language are derived, how this written form came to us. It came to us through, because first the people, they started speaking language. As a child starts speaking language, a child doesn't write a language. A child goes to the school after having one class, KG, prep, and one class. Then the children, they start reading and writing a language, that how a language is written. But before that, they already have learned how to speak a language and how to communicate. So this is not actually a point to make one form of a language inferior and one form of a language superior, but here we are discussing that what comes first. So what comes first? It is spoken form.